Hi, today we're going to learn JavaScript by implementing the native speech-to-text AI functionality inside of your Toddle web application. And it's super simple. We're going to take a look at Stack Overflow, we're going to take a look at the developer documentation, and we are not going to use any AI because AI is lame. Brain power is the future. So let's take a look at that together, and after the end of this video, you will know how to think like a developer, meaning going on the internet and searching for things already done and just kind of like rewriting it a little bit and then claiming you did it. So let's take a look at that together and let's learn some JavaScript. Copy pasting. Yay. So let's go on Stack Overflow. Because we want to implement the web speech API. So, you just Google how to implement the web speech API and you take a look at Stack Overflow and you'll find very helpful people that posted a lot of stuff before 2021 on how to do a lot of stuff in the internet. There you go, 2019. He posted this before AI was a thing. So that's how you know the code works. But now this is kind of like how we're initializing the web speech API. And one thing to note is it uses the WebKit speech API and the normal speech API, which is important because Apple has their separate browser engine. There's Chrome and there's Apple, and there's some other ones that are not that significant. But the thing is, you want to have it working in Apple, which is WebKit, and you want to have it working in Chrome, which is the other one. So he gave a great piece of code. So let's copy this and let's run through this code line by line, right? We need to now create an action in Toddle that will be able to trigger this. So let's go in here and let's call this speech to text. And we're going to go on create. And now we're going to start. We're going to run this line here to, create this window.speech recognition object. And we can also then add a console log, console.log, and lock this speech recognition object inside of here. So I can go, just for, purposes of debugging, console log lets us debug the JavaScript nicely. So I can do after and I can do one before. So we are in here using the window property, which attaches it to the window. The application window is kind of like the best thing to attach things that you want to have globally available. So let's call this before, and then we'll have an after. So we'll take a look at what it logs here. It will now log that value. This is the name, and then this is what we're logging. So now if I just go to my homepage in Toddle, and I'm just going to add a button, and let's call this button AI, and I'm going to go on this button and I'm going to go on click, and I'm going to then run this custom action and open this in my browser, and I go on inspect elements and I take a look at the console. I click on here, you see before it was undefined, and then now we ran this code that actually did something with it. It created something inside of here. And this is exactly what we're doing with this first line of code. This creates the global speech recognition object. So let's call this create, just copy that, create speech recognition object on window. There you go. Oh, window. There you go. On the window. Create speech recognition object on window. So it's attaching it on the window. Now, a cool little thing is when we run this, we see before it was undefined. If I now go inside of here and I got speech recognition copied, I can just do window dot speech recognition and I can run it, and you see it says native code. And now it runs the native browser functionality. So with this line of code, we now have created this object that can always be called and that is attached to the window. And the window is kind of like where the whole data of the application is working on. For example, if I were to go to window Toddle, you would get all the Toddle project data, all your components, all your APIs, all your variables, all your nodes on the, right? This is how the web works. This is where Toddle is attaching on. Now, one thing to consider, when you attach things on the window, you're not attaching them inside of Toddle, you're attaching them where Toddle is attached. So it is one step higher than Toddle. You're directly talking to the browser with that. It has benefits, it has also downsides, so be mindful of how you're going to use this. But this is what we're going to do. So we can remove the console logs. They are just for, or we could, keep them and comment them out if we want. That's also very cool. So let's go with the second line. Now we're doing an if statement. We're taking a look if speech recognition is in the window, right? I don't have to, repeat that. And then on else, we're going to say it's supported, not supported. So now we can copy this line of code, which is an if statement. And we can just paste this inside of here. We're taking the look, hey, is speech recognition in the window? Another thing would be window.speech recognition does not equal undefined. We could also do that. So another way what we can do is we could also adjust this if statement and do window.speech recognition does not equal undefined. And then we got a console log here. So if I run this and I take a look at the console and I run this, we will see supported speech. So we can also change the way we do those formulas in the browser. So now we can also write it ourselves because now we know what's going on. So I can do if, and I put this in brackets, and I'm going to take window dot, and then I do speech recognition, speech synthesis, speech recognition. I gotta type that out. Speech recognition. Yeah, window.speech recognition does not equal. That's how you do it. Does not equal this, or you want to do equal. Does not equal undefined. There you go. And then we're going to add a space, we're going to add an object, and we're going to click enter. And then we're on the next line. And now inside of here, we can do a console log, console.log working. And then in here, after the closing of the console log, I can write an else. And then I can do console.log, and I can do not working, right? And we will replace those console logs. I can use the other quotes. We want to replace those console logs with, how Toddle handles those things, but we'll do this later. And excuse, my hair is all over the place and it's slightly distracting me. But now you can see it's working. There you go. So we got it working. Now we wrote our first if statement. Congratulations. So this is working. Now I like giving things space so I can take a look at it. The code will be easier to view for me. People don't like that, but I like it. So we'll just comment those out because we don't need them for now. They're just placeholders. So now until here, we are, initializing this. We're preparing the native speech functionality. In here, we're now taking a look if the speech functionality exists or not. And now inside of here, we're going to create this speech recognition functionality. And I think the guy on Stack Overflow made a slight mistake, but we'll correct it. Now he's creating this recognition constants, and he's creating a new speech recognition instance, which is good. So I'm going to copy that line. And I'm doing something slightly different. When speech recognition is available, I will do this in the piece of the code that should run when it is available, not when it is not available, right? So this kind of like improves the experience. So we only run that line of code when we do have this native functionality in the browser available. Then we can set recognition.dot continue as true, and there's some other parameters that you can take a look in the documentation here, but we won't need them. There's some like grammar you can add and all that kind of stuff, but we don't need that. And now we can just go on the next line, and now we're going to set it to be continuous, right? So in this is going to create new speech recognition. There you go. Create new speech recognition. And now we're going to run this. And as an example here, I could add a console log, console.log, and I can just log this speech, and I do a comma, and I'll send that recognition object so we can take a look at that. So now when I run this here, we're going to create the speech recognition object. And as you can see, we're now logging this speech recognition object that is the constants of recognition that we have defined in here. And my hair's distracting me. And now, as you can see, there's no grammar set and all that kind of stuff. And we got all those events in here that we can also attach on, and we need to attach on to get some data, right? So there you go. And now if I think, do we have the continuous? We don't have it is already continuous true, right? If I were to comment this out, let's try this again. If I were to click on here, it would be continuous false, right? And now if I do continuous true, and it's interesting that it runs the code not after I do this, but I think we may have some timing issue here. If I now reload this, you can see that we got continuous true. So we're seeing this data happen. So it's continuous. It just, continues until I stop it. There you go. So now we got that all set up. Now I got console.log, and then I'm logging that to the speech. Now I want to actually get the contents that I'm talking about. So let's go back to the Gantt Stack Overflow, and we have recognition.onResult. And this is an event that will allow us to log this information. So let's just copy this line, and I'll just add the closing statement myself to make sure we have it nicely formatted, so we can comment out this, and we can go on the next line, and we can just add it right here. We got to close this, right? So now we got this event whenever there is an onResult. So we're now defining this event. I just add a return, so we are on the next line, and then I add a console.log, and now I'm just doing a console log here, and I'm going to put in quotes event, and then I add a comma, and now I want to, you see how we're getting this event here? I want to copy this, and I want to, take a look at the event. So I got my console log inside of here when there is an onResult. So now when I reload this, and I will click on here, let's click on here, and let's start talking. I don't think it's starting to talk. There is no talking going on. Interesting. It's not asking for my microphone. Okay. Oh, we need to do speech start. Okay, that's my bad. It's not working because, we need to do speech start. But if we move the console log actually that we have here, under here, we should see that there is now this onResult event defined, which used to be undefined. So if we reload this and we'll take a look at that object, we see onResult, and we see that the code is defined inside of here, right? We didn't have that before. So I can add a console log. I can have this console log and this console log, right? And we can now reload the page and click on here. We'll see the first one. It does have it defined because kind of like how the code runs, we would have to work with a timeout. But if I were to comment out this piece of code, and you just do this with a // and I can get rid of that one, and I'm going to reload that page, and I click on here, you would see that now there is no onResult defined here. It's null, right? So by adding this, I just go back, there you go. By adding this, we are solving that. So I just can remove that console log, and we don't need that console log in here. So now we got this all set up, and we're setting the events. Now we need to run this recognition.start to start the speech recognition. There you go, and we'll run this once under this event listener. There you go. So now we can reload the page, and now we should get this, as you can see, this native dialog that it wants to have access to our microphone. I can allow it this time. And now I am just talking. And we are not getting any console logs, and that is very interesting. And there are maybe some reasons for that we want to explore. There is probably the reason that we want to use whatever he is using for returning this. And we're not using stop to stop it. So we'll keep continuing in that conversation. So let's just update the console log with the one that the person on Stack Overflow gave us. And it will probably not return anything. Oh, now it works. You see how it worked? It took a little bit. I had to, it's also because I'm maybe like recording. So let's see. Oh, maybe like recording. I like what I am seeing here. So let's see. Oh, maybe like recording. I like what I'm seeing here. Take a look at that. Oh, let's see. Or maybe I like what I'm seeing. Oh, let's see. Or maybe Toddle is the best development solution out there. Toddle is the best development solution out there. I love it. We may want to add some grammar to this, but there you go. Isn't that cool? And whenever I stop the sentence, it'll just add it, right? Ooh! Cool. I mean, it's not the most accurate one. It's not like DeepGram, but it is pretty dope. Very cool. So now we're getting that back, and we will probably be getting a big transcript. Okay. Now, you know, we can just update this. I can just actually remove the label. I can just return the event with the console log, which itself won't help us because we don't need it in the console. We need it coming back into Toddle. But that's a different thing we'll be taking a look at. I like it. It's very cool. Very cool. So now we got that all sorted out. We can remove all those console logs. Now I got this console log not working. We can keep that. And we now need to have a way for it to stop running. And this is something where we want to take a look at. Let's keep going in the conversation. My React code worked. Oh, he's using the React. We don't like that. But if we take a look at the MDM docs, there is this stop parameter, and we can just really literally call recognition.stop. Right? So now, you know, we need to be able to call recognition stop. Now we can try going to an action, and we can call an action stop speech to text, and we can just add this inside of here, and I assume it won't work, but we can try. It may work. And let's add, let's duplicate this, and let's call this one stop, and we'll go on the stop button here, and we are going to go to stop speech to text, and let's reload this page. I am transcribing with AI. And you see how it doesn't work, and it still keeps transcribing? Yes, because we are not in the place where the code runs. So here is what we're going to do, and you know, remember the window. So we need to run the stop code in this code. So it needs to be stop. But how can we run this inside of here from another action in Toddle? One thing that we can do is we could define a function. So we can do, for that, let me pull up the developer docs. define global function JS docs functions. There you go. And now we can see how we can define a function. We can define functions in JavaScript. Do they have an example for a window function? If not, it's just adding window to there. I mean, that's good enough. Console log square 5. Let's see. Window. No, they don't do window functions. But in JavaScript, we can declare functions. So we can just do function, and then we can just run this function here. So we need to put, I like working with the window. There are some downsides in it, but I'm just going to do function. I'm going to declare a function, and I'm going to call this stop speech to text. Right here, we're going to declare it as a function like this. There is no parameter added into it. So I'm just going to run it like this, and then I'm going to add an object, and then I can run it inside of here. And then I can run this code inside of the window function. There you go. Let's close that so I got the formatting right. There you go. And we got the function. And actually, let's do window. Let's attach it on the window. I just do this by window dot should work. What am I doing wrong? Let's take a look at the documentation. Let's see. Define window function in JS. Let's take a look at that. It's using AI. Define custom window function in JS. Let's take a look at Stack Overflow. I'm working on a project. What's the difference? No. Let's see. Window. Let's see. Window. We want to declare a window function here. Build your own function. Alert. Function. Display message. Let's just copy this over for the sake of the syntax, right? Function, what happens if I attach it on the window dot? It should work, right? No, we still get that. I think we need to attach it differently. Ooh. Let's see. Let's look at Stack Overflow. Window functions. I mean, I could ask ChatGPT and we wouldn't know, but let's see. What does define window function? I mean, someone had to ask that, right? Output in Visual Studio, define custom window functions. I should say JavaScript. JavaScript. How to fix headers. Let's do relevancy. Call JavaScript functions in child window. For security reasons. Oh, we can do this. Okay, let's go to our last resort. Claude. There you go. Let's just copy that code. I made some syntax error in there. Fix syntax. Let's see what I did wrong. The main issue is that you were defining the function as a property of the window object using dot notation, but the correct way would be either define it as a regular function or explicitly assign it to the window object after definition. Ooh, okay, that makes sense. So we will need to create this as a normal function. And then once we have this as a normal function created, we will need to attach it to the window. So window, there you go, dot, and then I'm going to do stop text to speech, and it will need to equal the stop text-to-speech function that I defined above. There you go. And yeah, that looks good. So there you go, with some little help from Claude. I mean, I was almost there, right? I just thought I could do it in one line, but it doesn't make sense. So I need to define the function first, and then I take the window, I create, by using dot notation, I create a new property on the window that stops text, that's stop text-to-speech, and that will equal this stop text-to-speech function. So now I will be able to call window.text-to-speech in my anywhere, literally, to stop it. So now that we have this defined to stop it, right, I can go in my application here, and we can actually run it from the console. I can click on here in the console, and I can click on AI, and I can say, hello, this works beautifully. Hello, this works beautifully. You're supposed to, write this down. Okay, we broke something else. But, we can also now call this function. And stop text-to-speech function is not a function. Okay, I should have copied the code from the AI. Let's see. We're defining the function stop text-to-speech. It runs the start. Got the recognition. It will not run the function, I assume. Let's see. Let's have Claude vet our code. .ai. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know what we would be doing without AI. Does this have any errors? There you go. You don't have to wait weeks to get a response from someone. You're immediately invoking stop text-to-speech function when assigning it to the window. This means you are storing the return value undefined rather than the function. Okay, that makes sense. So what are we changing? You're creating a function within another function that would lead to memory leaks if text-to-speech is called multiple times. That makes sense. Assign the function reference, not its result. Consider adding a fallback message. Interesting. So we got recognition on start. We got recognition on start, and then we run the function. And then we will wrap this in a function. We will define that, and then we'll define that here. Oh, now I see. We're running this as a function in here. So there's a syntax error. We gotta do this. Right? So because this is defined in here, now it should work. Because let's click on here. Hello, this should be working now. Yes, it works. And now I can go to my code, and I got this window dot window. Why can't I select? What's going on with Toddle? Why can't I select my code? I gotta type manually now. No way. Now it will. Now it will let me select my code. Okay, let's copy this. Let's go to the application. You see, it works beautifully. And now in the console, I should be able to run this global function. Let's see. Does it work? Did it stop? Ta-da! It did stop. So this works. So now we can copy this, and we can now run this global function that we defined in here with the function. So we define a function, and then we turn it into a global function by attaching it on the window. And we can also delete this console log. Right? And then we can go to our stop text-to-speech, and then we just run this with the window function. So now this should beautifully work. Let's try this again. I am not being forced to make this recording. There you go. You can make a cool AI, and then I can stop this. And now, as you can see, the microphone is being removed. hey girl, you can make it cool AI. That's not what I said. I mean, there's some, it's not the most accurate one. You may want to actually use Whisper for this, but you know, it's a good enough solution. The Toddle team is not forcing me to do those videos. Okay, there you go. And I got it in here, and now I can stop, and now you see how the microphone disappears, and we got it all in the console beautifully. Take a look at that. Wonderful. How accurate it is a different thing, right? But, you know, there you go. And also, in case you're wondering what this is my Chrome extension that's loading, so just ignore that one. Because I built a Chrome extension inside of Toddle. And if you want to learn how you can do that too, join NoCodeProCode.com. But now we got a little bit of code here, and we wrote that mostly ourselves with some minor, you know, AI things. And I can just add comments. I can say start speech to text, and I can say declare function to stop recording, and then I can say attach function to window for accessibility. There you go. And now we got the comments nicely inside of here. And that's exactly what our code is doing. So we can stop this. Now we got this in the console, but we want to get that callback back into Toddle. Now, how we do this is we're just going to replace this console log with a ctx.triggerActionEvent. ctx.triggerActionEvent will allow us to create custom events in Toddle. And then I will need to add in quotes here and a comma and a space my event name. So let's call this onResult, and I can have a sample value. Hello, this was made by NoCode Pro Code, right? You always gotta put your advertisement in there, right? There you go. And now we're just going to create this onResult event in this trigger action event handler, and now we're going to return this, so we won't get a console log for that. And then there is another event that we want to create that will be on error. And we don't need to call any data, so I'm just going to add an empty object here. So then in here, instead of doing a console log, we're going to add a ctx.triggerActionEvent. We're going to put this in quotes. I'm going to do on error. I'm going to add a comma, and I'm just going to add an empty object for the sake of, you know, consistency. Now there is another thing that we can do that's optional. I could go in this function here and add a ctx event in here as well that lets us, you know, kind of like add an event if that recording stops. But when the user clicks stop, it will stop. So you need to manually invoke that stop, if that makes sense. So it doesn't really make sense to just have an event for the stop, but we can add it for the sake of completeness. So I can just do ctx.triggerActionEvent, and I can put in quotes on stop, and I can create this event on stop. I'll put an empty object inside of here, and I can then just call this on stop, right? And I can call this on stop event with just an empty object. Now, there's another way how we could use an unstop event. And if we take a look at some of the documentation here on the events, we see there is, I think there is, no, that's not result. We have result inside of here, right? Yeah, on result. There is on completion, sound end, speech end, on audio end, audio start. We'll take a look at those methods. Let's see, audio end is, the audio end is when the user agent has finished capturing audio for speech recognition. Audio ends, speech capture ended. No. On end, what does the end do? Speech recognition service disconnected. Okay, we get those available if we need to add them. No match, result, sound end. Sound has stopped being received. Speech end. Speech start, sound start. We got all those functions. We can add those event listeners in there. I think the most important one may be the error event listener. And this will be actually not on error. This will be on unavailable. Unavailable. There you go. This will be not on error. This will be on unavailable. And we can now actually go to the developer documentation here and take a look. I like using the handler property. So I can just copy this recognition on error event. So we see recognition on result. This is where we will do our event listeners. So I just do event listeners, right? So I got my event listeners here. And now I can add another event listener. I gotta close this and then I can go on the next line on with the on error event, right? So I can go and I can add ctx.trigger action event, and I can put in quotes on error. And then I can just add an empty object, or I can add the error event object if I want to, but I don't think I need an error event, so I could just remove that here. That should work as well, or we can just add that event, but I don't think we need that. So we got the on error event inside of here, and now we're going to have that event listener, but let's just put event in here, and then I could just return that event if I want to with some event data. So now the question is, how do we trigger an on error event and get some sample data? Do they provide us some sample? No, they don't. Okay, let's take a look at the events. No, those are, yeah, they're not. Okay, we don't have samples for this, so that will be fun. Let's just keep it like this for simplification purposes. Is there another event listener that we want to add? Maybe result. We got result, sound and start, speech start, no match. I don't think we will have no match because we're not doing matching. So I think that should be it. I think error is the most important one. So we can just say something went wrong, right? And show them a generic error. But we'll see, maybe we can create an error event. And for that, actually, on that error event, let's add a console.log, and let's try if we can produce an error event. So error, and then I'm going to do event. And now let's try reloading this, and let's see if we can create, let's see if we can create an error event. Okay, maybe. Oh yeah, we're not getting a console log because we're doing the CTX, but we're fine. I just want to see, is there anything we can do? Oh, now I got an error. I like that. Okay, that's good. Error, current target, message, target bubbles, cancel bubbles, current target. We don't need that. That's the event data. Error aborted. Okay. We can create this error aborted, and then we can create an error message. Right, and we have that in the event. So what we can do, I have this console log error. Let's just put this in a trigger action event. I can put in an object here on a new line, error, and then I can go with event.error because I want that aborted value that I got here. If we take a look here, you see how I got aborted on error. So it's event.error, and I can add a comma, and I can add a new object, and then I want the error message, right? So I can now create this property here called message, and then I can do event.message, and now I'm setting that. So what we can do, let's just remove the console log, copy the ctx.trigger action event, go on the new line, and then we'll turn that ctx trigger action event in a console.log with the error. And then we can just run this again. And now we see I'm getting this onError event with this object sent back. Now I want to copy this object and I want to just put this into JSON formatter. And I want to create some sample data for that action. So I want to say your error message, right? Your error message. I can copy this here. And then I can just go to this, we'll need to create an onError event, onError, and I'm going to just put this inside of here. So now I can go inside of here where we have this console log. I can remove the console log. I won't need that in production. There you go. And now I got this onError CTX event with that data being back, and I got my sample data inside of here. There you go. So now we got the event listeners. So that will be the event listeners, and I can add a comment inside of here on result, and then I can go on error. There you go. And now we got those events going on, and then we create this, and now we got the whole thing going on, right? Because now we can see there is also an aborted property when you can when you end that audio. I think it's on error, on result. Oh no, there is an abort function where you can just stop it, but we got stopped. That should be enough. So audio end would be when they stop talking. Error is good because it shows them when they try to run the same code again. So I think we're set up pretty good, but again, with the same method that we already talked about, you can add more methods to this if you want, and that's kind of like how you create a simple, you know, text-to-speech. And let's call this web speech API. And we can go now to our home page. And now that we got this custom code set up, we can plug this in with Toddle. So what we can do is we can create a variable here called transcript. Is that how you write transcript? No. The guy on GitHub made a typo. And on GitHub, on Stack Overflow. And we'll start this empty. And then when I go on AI, I run my custom action here, right? And now I got all those events. So I want to do onResult. OnResult, we're going to take the transcript variable. And we're going to take the current transcript variable because we want to concatenate those responses. And I'm going to add concatenate, and I'm going to add the event data. So I'm always adding new stuff after it, so that variable grows. And then inside of here, I can add a text area, and that text area can be bound with the transcript variable. So now, when I reload this inside of here, I can start saying stuff. And people will just see what I'm saying. And this is super cool. And I'm super excited about it. And then I can even edit it. And now I stop the recording, and now I can go inside of here and edit it, right? So now we got a little, you know, AI transcription functionality going on. Now we can go even further with this. I'm afraid to show you this, but it's super cool what we can do. So what we can do, there is, I saw that in the web documentation. We need to go to Web Speech API. Using the Web Speech API, they got some examples here on how you can add some grammar to this. So you can create the web speech recognition list with a new grammar list, right? And you can add that to it. Now, I will not do this in this video because we're already at 44 minutes, but just something to take a look that may be very interesting. So you can kind of like, you know, add that into there. I think a good reference, it wasn't this one, it was if you go to the speech recognition and speech grammar interface, it will give you some nice examples. So you can create this const grammar, and then you can do speech recognition list, add from string, grammar, one, recognition grammar, and then you can do recognition.grammar, speech recognition list. Actually, that's simple. We could add this in here. So let's try adding that to the code, right? Shall we? Let's go to speech to text. And where do we need to add this? Let's take a look at the documentation. We'll run this over the recognition. Okay, so we are now defining the recognition. So in here, we're going to add a grammar list. So we got the grammar list. We got lots of grammar. There you go. So now that we got the grammar list, we need to, and you want to kind of like format this properly. You know, you can add your own grammar list based on those specifications. We can feed it in dynamically, but we got this grammar list, and now apparently I can only do colors now, but now I need to create this speech recognition list, create a new speech recognition list with this line of code. So under the grammar list, we're going to run new speech recognition list, right? And we do this actually under recognition. So I need to run this here. Let's go over here because it's a long list. Let's just do define grammar. And then we create this new speech recognition, and then we add the speech recognition list to it. So let's say add grammar list, and now we can go in here, and now I can do a speech recognition list grammar, and I'm just going to add it to it. So we are adding it from the string with grammar. So under here, under the speech recognition list, we're going to add it to the speech recognition list. So we're creating a new speech recognition list that is undefined yet, right? Let's call this create empty speech recognition list, and then I'm going to add grammar to speech recognition list. There you go. Add grammar to speech recognition list. There you go. And now we're just going to set the grammars into the speech recognition list. So we need to now add the speech recognition list to the grammar property of the recognition. So we're going to add speech recognition list to speech recognition property. There you go. And now we are going to have that added inside of here. Beautiful. So now we should have some grammar set up, and then we do console log speech recognition list. And we got the weight of it. So we can try running this as a console log. We just run this in the console actually. So now when I reload this inside of here, you know, once it runs and it defines everything, speech grammar list is not defined. Let's take a look at that. We got speech recognition, speech grammar list, speech recognition list. Interesting, it's not defined. Let's take a look at this. Let's see. We need to use WebKit for this more than likely. Because we're on a Safari browser, right? Speech, because they don't give it to us in WebKit, and I don't know where to find it. So let's just say, do I need another one for WebKit? Because we are on a Safari. Oh, let's put this inside of here for the grammar. Looking at your code, there is a potential issue related to browser compatibility. You must, here you go. You're missing the declaration for speech recognition and speech recognition list for cross-browser compatibility. You should include the WebKit prefixes. Yeah, I told you, right? We need to add WebKit prefix to that. So let's see, console log wait. Let's see, speech recognition. When we do create a new speech recognition, oh, we need to add the prefixes. So when we are running this, let's see, full code, please. And I want to see, we should probably be adding it above. Yeah, we need to add it above. And then we need to add it in here. So before we do the grammar, we will need to put this inside of here. So, oh shit. Oh. Grammar. So we are defining this. Okay. So now we should have speech recognition. Oh, we already got that, right? So we don't need this, but we need to have this to create speech recognition object on the window. So now when I reload this, blue, pink, red, blue, pink, red, yellow, orange, 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 orange. We got the grammar. There you go. So now I only need this list for one thing. Public, okay, I don't know how to set a grammar list. Let's ask ChatGPT for that. Let's say, I just need a grammar list for the word toddle. Now it will create for me a grammar list with the word toddle. Because AI doesn't know, or the browser API, you can put kind of like a little dictionary to it. So we're just going to delete this line of code. We're going to paste that here. And now whenever I say toddle to it, it should pronounce it perfectly. Toddle. 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 Ha ha! Look at that! We got it! I am using Toddle. Isn't that cool? I'm using Despia. You know, it gets Despia right because it's just the best, but with Toddle, not puddle, Toddle. Toddle. There you go. It works. And you can still edit, right? So that is very cool. Now I can stop it. And now it doesn't do it anymore. So very cool. Now we got this code here with lots of random formatting and spacing issues. And, you know, that's how you know it's human written. But, I mean, it's hybrid. We did use some AI, and AI is a great teacher, right? I'm not saying don't use AI as a teacher, but I would highly suggest play around with some cool stuff. Now, we got Toddle. I want to kind of like take a look at how we can build a grammar list with multiple words, and it will probably just end up just being like this, right? Like they had it in the documentation. Let's see. We got colors, public color. Yeah, it just does it like this, right? So what we can do inside of here, we can just change the string type of this by just giving it a backtick. And then inside of here, I can add a $sign with this. And now we can just add this as a string so people can supply that list. So I can now call this grammar. I just call it grammar. And then inside of here, I'm going to do args dot grammar. Or actually, we could make an if statement above here. I can do if args dot grammar dot length greater than 0. Then I'm going to do const grammar list equals if args length greater than, only then we're even going to run the code for the grammar list. That is a good one. So let's take this code to define the grammar list and put it inside of here only if the user wants to add grammar, right? And then we're going to put this code inside of here, under here, create new speech recognition, create empty speech recognition list, add grammar to speech recognition list. I'm going to write some ugly code here today. Maybe we'll just keep it the way I wanted to do it. Let's just do grammar list will equal args dot grammar. And then we'll do else and then I'm going to do const grammar list will equal empty string. So now I got the grammar list defined with this if statement, and now I can take grammar list and put it inside of here. Or actually no, because it's not in there. You know what? I think we can just put an empty object in there. We don't need to do an if statement for this. Let's just do args.grammar. There you go. And then we can use the formula for that. So we can just put this inside of here, args.grammar, and we'll put the grammar list. And then we got that. And then we just need to create a formula to turn an array into a grammar list. So I can call this speech to text grammar list. Speech to text. Damn it. Autocorrect is very bad in Toddle. Speech, because like it won't load, and it's just speech to text grammar list. And then we'll create this, and let's just make an example here of an array, and we'll just say Toddle, Despia, Andreas, right? And then I'm going to add a join filter to just add space. So I'm creating the grammar list. And then inside of here, I'm just adding an argument of list with a test value of actually an array. So I need to delete that real quick, actually. Let's just copy that, put the test value inside of here, take this as the test value. I got my array. And then I'm going to add the join filter again. And I can just add space. And I got my list in that format. So now I've got the grammar list. Define web speech API grammar list. Okay, and now we got that grammar list. So now when I go on the home page to initialize the web speech API, it should work the way it currently works without a grammar list. So if I just run this, hello, I have no grammar list. Toddle. I mean, it's really good at that, but you know, I can then also supply my grammar list. I don't think it's going to weigh in that big, but I can just add an array now of a grammar list. I can do Toddle Despia, right? Let's do it in caps because it will do it in lowercase, right? And then we now need to add the speech to text grammar list, so we'll turn it into the appropriate grammar list format. We could also just add the filter on there, but we have a global function for it now. And now, let's see. Let's open that, and now we supply that grammar list. So when I click on here, allow this time, Toddle, not cuddle, Toddle. Toddle. I don't think the grammar list is going to make that big of a difference, but we do have it in there. And if I go on inspect and I do, what was that property again? Recognition.grammars. Oh, it's window. Window, right? No, we do it differently. No, we define it recognition, new speech. It's a console. We need to do a console log for that. So let's see if it adds the grammar. Let's double check that. So where are we adding the grammar list? We do continuous true. So we can add a console.log to recognition inside of here. Let's just return the recognition object, and then I can now run this, and now we should take a look at the grammar list. Grammars, source application. I have no idea what I'm looking at. Let's put this into Claude, because I'm not the best at reading gibberish. Let's just have Claude decode that for me. What is the object's grammar list? Let's see. It copied an empty one. Let's see. Let's put this inside of here. Speech recognition, Toddle and Despia. So it did add the grammar list. I don't know how accurate it is, but we do have the grammar list inside of here, and it got a weight of 1, right? We could adjust the weight. So where do we define the weight? So I can do grammar weight. That would be a number. And then I can do 1, and I can do args.grammar weight or 1. So if this is undefined, it'll be 1, and if this is defined, it'll just take this one, right? It'll always take the first one when we do an OR. This is an OR in JavaScript. So when we reload this, we should now still have that grammar list. Yeah, we got it nice in here, and then the strength. That's the it's the length. That's the strength. This is 1, and we should now be able to adjust that strength. So if I go to if I go to the home page here, when I run this, I can go to the weight and I can do 7. I don't even know if that's a valid parameter, but we should now be able to run this. And let's see, length. And we got the weight inside of here. Toddle. Toddle. I don't really know what the weight does, but we can set it now. So we got it, right? We got it all set up here. Very nice. We also got the unavailable event on stop, right? And then we can just go on this button here and we can just, you know, stop text to speech, and we got it nicely working. And this is how we're going to add those JavaScript SDKs. Let's stop this. Inside of Toddle, this external functionality that is very cool. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate that, and see you in the next video.